Segment Efes, Nikud Achat, Nikud Yod. Practice. Illustrated words beginning with Aleph or Beit. To help you learn successive letters of the Hebrew alphabet, Unit 0 will routinely introduce an illustration after several letters have been presented to give you an opportunity to practice and to associate them with objects beginning with that letter. Several of the objects or persons portrayed in this picture could correspond to Hebrew words which begin with either Aleph or Beit. So, for example, let's suppose that the fellow on the forward end of the carrying pole is a father. In Hebrew, father is the word Av. It begins with the letter Aleph. The structure behind the woman who is raising a loaf of bread, the structure looks to be something like a house. House or building in Hebrew is known as bayit. Bayit. It begins with a beit. Here is a list of 6 words which could be used to label elements in the above illustration. Now, it would be necessary to exercise a bit of patience with yourself at this stage of learning, since at times we will need to employ words using consonants or vowels that you have not learned yet. But be patient. By the time the unit is over, you'll be able to go back to these lists and read not simply the initial consonant, Aleph or Beit, but all the consonants and vowels that you find here. The aim at this stage of learning is simply to recognize the initial letter of the word, to know that the first letter of the first word Av is an Aleph, or in the lower group, the first letter of the first word Bayit is the letter Beit. Let's read over these words and simply rely on the transliteration column at this point for those consonants and vowels that you haven't learned yet. Let's read over these words together. Av, Av. Evan, Evan. Notice the accent is on the first syllable, signaled by the raised chevron. Aim, aim. Bayit, bayit. Again, the accent is on the first syllable in this particular word. Bain, bain. Bat, bat. In order to reinforce your learning of these consonants, take the initial letter of a particular word and write it alongside that element of the illustration which corresponds to that word. So alongside the figure which may be the father, write the letter Aleph, since father in Hebrew is Av and begins with Aleph. Similarly, alongside the house in the illustration, write the letter Beit, since the word for house in Hebrew is bayit and it begins with a beit. Continue with the remaining 4 items on the word list, writing the initial letter of each word alongside the appropriate part of the illustration.